Hey, it's Roman here with the project update that I'm working on right now. In one of the previous videos, I told you that I'm working on a macOS application to help navigate between different web browsers that you have on your machine. So I finally decided on a name, and the app will be called Aligere. And this is the macOS application that serves you as the default web browser and allows you to select a web browser while you open in a link from any of the application and define different rules to automatically kind of redirect a specific URL to a different web browser. Funny enough that I actually recorded this video a couple of days ago, but I even didn't start to edit the raw footage, and in between I implemented and fixed so many things I've been talking in the previous recording, so the video became just irrelevant and I'm recording it right now again. So currently the app is still in active development, although many things are implemented and I'm getting close to the first public release before I actually will release it fully. And in this video I want to give you an update on the challenges that I had and the actual progress and the showcase of the current state of the application. And I want to remind that why I'm actually doing yet another application, because you can find similar applications already exist for the macOS, but the thing is that I want to implement the one that has a very specific feature set that separately you can find in a different applications, but I didn't manage to find them all in one place. Plus, I want to make it in a way that you can configure it through the config file, so you don't have to interact with UI to configure, for example, the rules for the domains or other things to change any setting. And I'm trying to suppress this idea in my head, that the idea that I need to have a very cool idea that no one implemented before to make something valuable and useful for others. At least I'm using this version of the application for the past already like 2 weeks, and I already find it useful for myself. And the interesting part that I know that there are some people interested in my version of this already, so it's already a motivation to continue and implement it and publish and make a finished product. So let's go to the update. Before we can go to actual product update, I would like to talk a little bit about the technology choice that I made. So I have a lot of the experience building native macOS, iOS, iPad applications. I've been doing this for actually already many years, but everything that was related to UI level and integration with operating systems was done using UIKit framework. And you might know that there is something called SwiftUI, which is a new version of the UI framework for the Apple platforms. The problem that it is still very raw. But I decided, okay, this application won't have enough, it won't have too many UI things. It's just 2 screens, the one where you select the browser and the second one is simple settings, or actually the triggers that you need to do from the UI, and that's it. The problem that I faced was not actually with building the UI, but the way SwiftUI implements interactions with the operating systems. So I actually fixed many problems yesterday that I had before with integration with operating system. For example, how you react on the keystrokes, how you open another application, how you do the navigation, and some other things that were pretty easy to make with the UIKit, but at least for me it was a bit challenging to make it with the SwiftUI. So I actually had an idea to rewrite everything in the UIKit, because the code base is like a couple of files, and actually the code looks like the proof of the concept right now, although I did refactoring, it looks much better right now. But at that moment I thought that maybe I should just rewrite this part until it's not big and just get back to the UIKit. Luckily I managed to fix the problems that I had, most of the problem, so I'm good to go and I will continue using the SwiftUI. But okay, let's take a look at the current state of the application. So okay, you can see that this is the main screen, or at least this is the main view that you will see most of the time. For me it looks like this because I'm using 2 browsers, and I will talk a bit about the config a little bit later. But it's the same. So I'm opening some URL and it presents me with two options. In my case, this is the Safari and this is the Brave browser. So I'm kind of splitting the usage where I open specific links in the web browser. For example, there are two things. First, I can click to open the URL, or you can see that there is a characters at the bottom and they represented in the config, and it's a shortcut. So one of the features that I wanted to implement a lot is using the shortcuts to open the browser. So I don't have to leave the keyboard, or for me it's just usually quicker to press something on the keyboard than moving the mouse. So for example, let's go with the Safari, and yeah, it opened the Safari and this is what it is. I am experimenting a bit with pinning the browser for the specific period of time. So right now I actually managed, I mean, this is just a debug version. So I managed to update the UI based on the pressed modifier finally. So right now you can see I'm holding the shift and it paints the red. The goal is to understand if I'm selecting a browser with a specific modifier pressed, for example, the shift key, I want to pin it for a specified amount of time, for example, for 1 or 2 minutes, and you'll be able to set it in the config. It usually happens for me when I need to open many links like at the same time in one browser, and instead of clicking the link, select the same browser, I can pin it for some period of time, and it will always redirect all further links opening into this one. But for some time, then it will get back to the normal state. Yeah, but for example, if I will click on the Brave, yeah, it opened the same link on the Brave. The next thing is the, how call it, settings view. This is the view that you see when you just first open the application, or you open the application without like opening the link. So right now it's very interesting that I lost the title bar, but it was here yesterday. Okay, I will fix it anyway. But apart from this, you can see that there are just 3 buttons. The first one is to copy config path to the clipboard, so you can change the config in your favorite text editor. The second one is make as the default browser. Right now nothing happens because due to some privacy thing, I cannot understand if this application is selected as the default one. Maybe there are ways to do this, but there is no official API to do. The only thing that you can do is to trigger the system UI that kind of pops up and presents you with the option, keep your current selection of your web browser, or switch to the application that triggers it. Generate the default config. This will happen at the first launch because this application cannot live without the config. So it will generate it. The thing is that there are some default values for the settings, and it will write all of the browsers into the config. The problem is that there is no way to understand that a specific application is a browser. I mean, the browser is just, it's just type of applications, but in a nutshell, it's an application that can open HTTP and HTTP links, and there are many apps that can do. The application will add all of them into the config, and then you can filter them by, you can make a list that you will use. For example, Zoom serves as the HTTP opener as well, and there are some utility apps can do this. So you can filter it, you just open the config and you delete everything the rest that you don't want to use. Also, I will generate the shortcut as the lowercase first letter of the browser, but you can change it to anything. And right now, let's take a look at the config file. So you can see that there are some things on the top level. At first, I decided to use the JSON as the configuration file because for now the config is going to be pretty simple. Maybe I will change it in the future to something like TOML, but for now I think that's fine to have it just in a JSON configuration. So there are some Boolean flags that you can define. Also, there is a list of the browsers, and every browser has some things. The first, the name, and name is used to actually find the application in the applications folder and then do manipulations within, for example, redirects links into this one. Then there is a list of the domains, and this is the way to define which domains will be opened in the specific web browser. Right now, rules are pretty simple. It's just domains. It will respect the leveling of the domain, but so far it's all. I'm thinking to implement something like wildcard rules for the domain, so you can, for example, split, I know, like the GitHub / something will go into one browser, GitHub / something else go into the second one, but that is going to be something in the future. Then one of the things you can see, there are two attributes defined into this. The first one is strip tracking attributes, and second one is expand shorten URLs. The first one will remove stuff like UTM source from the link and other tracking attributes that are used for, understand where you came from, how you opened the link, etc. So if it's set to true, the application, while opening the app, will try to strip many of these attributes from the URL. The list is not final, I'm working on this, but most common are already there. But there is a caveat here. You can see at the bottom there is a long URL. Basically, if you have some URL from the email or from the something like Bitly, you got redirected to the final URL, and usually those URLs have all of these tracking attributes. So what I've been facing, actually, I had problems with expanding these URLs to the final destination properly, but right now it works. For example, if I change it to true and I will try to open this long URL, you will see that there is a loading indicator, and it's actually the problem that I need to open, not really open, I need to use the head HTTP method to get the final destination, and then I can use the final URL to first apply the domain rules that I have for the browsers, and the second one is to strip the tracking attributes from the final one. So for example, if somebody wants to hide all of these tracking attributes behind the shortened URL or something like this, they all got stripped. I mean, then it's up to you if you want to use it or not, because it adds a little bit of delay, because I need to first expand the URL before you can open it. And the stripping applies twice. First, it tries to strip original URL if there is something that we can remove about the tracking, then expands it and then strips the final URL, and then searches if there is a browser that should open this URL, then it automatically opens it. If not, then it just presents you with the UI to select browser for you. So what are the plans? Right now I'm working on the pin browser with modifier for period of time. It's half done, so probably today, probably until this video is released, it's going to be implemented already. Then I want to have some improvements on how I open the web browsers, because in some cases I could have only one browser presented, and in that case I just need to open it. For example, if I use only running browsers and I actually have only one running browser, then I just have to open it. The question is what I should do if there are no running browsers in this time. Yeah, probably just open any or ignore this setting, but I will see. I need to think about this. Another thing, I want to automatically redirect into applications like Figma, Zoom, etc. So the ones that have a dedicated specific link that should be open in this application or could be opened. So instead of going the whole round of opening the Allegary, then switching to the browser, then browser will tell you, hey, there is an application that can open it. I need to investigate. There should be a way to do this automatically, but if not, then I will just, create a mapping between the URLs and the application that can do this, and that's it. I also want to add verbose login, because right now there is no login at all. And there are two reasons for this. The first one is there should be a way to debug this if somebody has a problem. And the second one is that the first version will have the settings UI, but the second one I want to implement, I want to give a way to control the whole application from the CLI. So the only UI you will see will be the browser selection, and that's it. But for example, like making a default browser, regenerate the config and so on, should be done through command line interface. Because you can see right now that I'm making the configuration available through the text file. I mean, well, JSON is a text file. Targeting people who wants to, who likes to edit stuff from the command line, store the .file configuration somewhere else, exchange them. So I will not target people who are not technical. I want to share it with the people who, like me, likes to do everything from the command line, use the keyboard as much as possible. Then it's going to be the second version. So for this, I will need to do a good logging, so then it would be possible to actually debug and spot the problems. I need to do a bunch of the distribution stuff, like for example, create a landing page, create an icon, buy a new Apple account because mine's not suitable for apps distribution right now. And there are some small things that I need to do before I can do even public beta. So if you would like to be one of the early adopters, please write a comment or just join the Discord server, because I will share the information, or subscribe to this channel because I will be posting updates in the community section on the channel and in the Discord. So if you would like to participate, you will be able to join the public beta. I would really appreciate any feedback and suggestions on how I can improve this application. So I think the development is going good. I probably finish it in a couple of weeks until I can do a public beta. And stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.